Welcome to Building Something Admirable, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of how to start a healthcare-related business. I'll share each step that we took to establish our now thriving practice at Meyer Medical, including our highs and lows, insider advice, and real-life lessons in every episode. Good afternoon, budding medical entrepreneurs. This is Alex for the Building Something Admirable podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. The saga continues. I think I feel like I've been opening every single episode recently with that. But more things evolved with the resignation and transition period. So let's get started. So to quickly recap, submitted resignation because of all the divided attention between main gig and admire. This has caused a bit of a panic at my prior place of business because other physicians also gave their notice at the same time, unbeknownst to me. So we've been trying to figure out a way to make it all work and figure out what resources it would take for Angela and me to be able to stay at that hospital. So that's kind of where we are now. Met with some of the high up admin at the hospital today. We had lunch together to see kind of what we could agree upon. So, as I believe I'd introduced in yesterday's episode, we ended up getting an offer from them on salary increase to, offset whatever. But this goes back to an earlier lesson from our discussions in that you got to know how much your time is literally worth. And the offer included the work valued at a rate of $180 per hour, which for a physician is actually less than we get paid if we do billing correctly, typically. There's some element of benefit for the guaranteed aspect of this, but assuming that reimbursements are effectively guaranteed and or the time can be spent doing other more productive things with the time, that ends up compounding or using leverage here. So the leverage would not be debt to finance something. The leverage in this case is the work that I can do with that time to put together or to finish up the book or to record the audiobook or whatever else would be a one-time investment in time that ends up paying literal dividends or bring some revenue to the practice. So in that case, $180 an hour is actually quite undershooting it if that one-time recording of a book or whatever ends up paying out for months and years from now and ultimately valued higher than that. So I had lunch today to say, listen, I'm sorry, I'm not being a jerk here, but that's not enough. And just reiterating that it's not about the money for us. It's about what the time means. And in this case, I counter proposed here, either more money, then we could use that to pay for the time-saving stuff, or find a way to get the call issues taken care of and find a way to, maybe subsidize our scribes or something that would end up saving us lots of time in the end. They didn't have anything immediately in mind for that. They did say, hey, we are looking at a solution to the call issue. Would that be cool if we left that open-ended and figured it out from there? I'm like, of course. And then I proposed from there that, listen, if I can find a solution, can we use that budget towards this? Say you find a way to cover, I don't know, arbitrarily $10,000 a month. Could I use that to subsidize, salary of somebody that I end up hiring? And tentatively, that sounded like an option, but it wasn't nothing in writing. It was just kind of kicking it around. So that was one thing. Yeah, so the other thing that they proposed was doing something like the salary guarantee they did for me. And that way it would take the heat off of any new hire generating income. And at first I was like, well, it kind of doesn't really solve our problem. But then the more I think about it, actually it could. So theoretically we could hire a new physician as part of this relationship and get them to give us this salary guarantee as insurance until the person's billings get up to a certain point. And that might be a solution, actually. But the one thing that does add is it brings on a new salary that we got to worry about longer term. So while Angela coming on was lower risk, lower reward here, theoretically an independent practicing physician that we don't have the risk of slowly increasing billings, we could find out that actually, the guarantee takes the edge off and allows us to bring on the practice. And then once they're, consistently billing at a certain amount, then we're good. That's something to chew on. So what I could do is hire a physician that is going to be dual pain management and rehabilitation, have them subsidize the rehab portion of it, and then once they get up to speed, then they are able to do outpatient work too. Well, something to think about there. This would essentially de-risk expanding the empire, as we say, but then has the downside of, if all the other problems aren't fixed and we're accepting this as the olive branch, not that it was a battle situation, then it might force us to deal with the other problems for the sake of getting that new hire subsidized. Something to think about. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I'm going to keep giving these updates because I think that it is personally I'm seeing it as a good lesson in real time about how negotiations can work in this field, what my live thought process is about these things, and how I go about approaching them. But if you find that there's something that I glossed over too fast or harped on too long and it wasn't very helpful, please let me know below. If there's some aspect of this process that you'd like me to go into further detail about which I'd like to go into further detail, please leave that below as well. I think that I want to be sure that at all times we're bringing the content back to whatever you find most useful. This is not necessarily about me hearing my own voice. Anyway, more updates to come. This one will be a short one, but best of luck in your practice, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more insider advice on building something admirable. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe below.